Hello, everyone. Brandon here. We are going to be talking about Unmasked, which is the eighth album by Kiss, the eighth studio album, and it was released in 1980. So we are officially in a new decade, uh, as opposed to the previous seven albums. And also, this is the first one to 100% not have Peter Criss, because Dynasty basically didn't have Peter Criss as like a drummer. I think he only actually performed on one track, which I didn't mention last time because I didn't know when I recorded that. But yeah, I just looked up Unmasked because I was kind of curious. I was like, at what point does the band change? And it turns out with Unmasked, it officially changes because he is credited on the album, but he does not actually play on any of these songs. This is not an album that features the original lineup of Kiss when you are listening to it. So that is interesting to note. Unfortunately, that is maybe the only really interesting thing about this album, because just looking at the songs without that context or whatever, just listening to them as songs, just taking it in as music, I found this to be very unremarkable and just not fun. Like, it's kind of hard for me to put into words necessarily why certain tracks work for me and why others don't. There is an easier case to be made for why I like certain tracks, right? Like I can point to why I like something like "Shout It Out Loud." It's catchy, it's fun, it's got a good pace. Um, those are positive qualities that I enjoy about that song. I don't like pretty much anything on Unmasked. I think it's not good. Um, it's not like the worst thing I've ever heard, but it's a weird album because like they clearly did better. Like their first six albums, I'm mostly very uh, positive about, and then with this, it's like I don't really have much positive to say at all. Again, it's not like the worst music I've ever heard. I'm not hyperbolic like some people who are like, oh, The Room is the worst movie ever made. It's like there are movies that are infinitely worse than The Room. It's the worst movie that you've heard of, maybe, but I know better. I know that like the worst of Kiss's output is probably still way better than the best of other bands' output, like bands that most people don't know about because they suck, right? So yeah, I'm not saying this is the worst like album I've ever heard. I'm not gonna be one of those types of guys, but it's so far it is the worst Kiss that I've heard. I don't like almost any of the tracks on this album. I guess I can do my top three, but I really don't have much to elaborate on with this one. It's mostly just not fun to listen to. And shit, even my number three pick is like, it's sort of like with Dynasty, where it's like it's just kind of there because like, well, like if I squint, I can like see the better version of this song that could have been made, but it's not really that great to me as it stands. But the third pick for me is going to be "Is That You," which is the first song on the album, and it's like it's okay. It's not great, and it's like whatever the third pick I picked for Dynasty was, 2000 Man. It's like I'm probably never gonna voluntarily listen to it again. I just it doesn't really interest me all that much. The number two slot is going to go to Naked City, which was like okay. Again, though, I'm probably not going to want to listen to it again, like specifically. I don't know if I ever throw on like a random Kiss playlist that like I didn't curate myself. I might not skip it necessarily, but I'm not like looking forward to hearing it again in particular. And then the number one pick is "Talk to Me." It's like I don't know that I think that was an Ace track, and it's like it's okay. Again, this whole album was pretty disappointing, and I I've been trying to go through this without letting my original experience kind of like dictate how I feel going back. You know, like I did mention last time that I was like, I remember not liking Unmasked, but I wasn't trying to come back to this to be like, oh, I fucking hate it. It's just, it's unfortunately, I don't seem to have changed my mind about this one very much at all. Where I just really, I didn't enjoy most of the songs, and I wouldn't even call most of them very recognizable. You know, I can't even remember what some of them sound like anymore, and I just finished listening to them right before recording this. So yeah, this one's just like, not a great one, and I haven't made a decision just like at the time of recording this. The next album that we're going to be talking about is Music from the Elder, which is just, it's a bizarre entry because The Elder was a movie that they were going to score, and it was never made, I guess. So they made an album of music for it that just, it's like weird because it's, you know, it's meant to accompany a film that doesn't exist. I'm tempted not to even cover it because it's not really a normal Kiss album, and it feels weird to consider it with the rest of their music, to me, at least in my opinion. So I think I'm actually not going to cover that because, again, like the purpose that it was made for doesn't even exist. So I feel weird about even listening to it in this context. So actually, probably the next video we're going to do is Creatures of the Night, which, if I remember, there's at least like 2 songs off of that album that I'm positive about. I can't really remember the rest of them, though. So we'll find out when we get there. But anyway, yeah, as for... just to reiterate, I don't like Unmasked at all. I thought this was just not a good album. And it was... the one thing where I think it's a little bit more tolerable than Dynasty is... this is a longer album, but it has 2 more songs than Dynasty did, because I think Dynasty had 9 tracks, and it's like almost 40 minutes. And in the case of Unmasked, it has 11, and it's almost the same length. So the time has been separated out a bit better. So there's not as many songs that go on for, you know, quite so long. There's only like 2 songs that go over 4 minutes on this one. So that's like a small bit of positivity that I can give the album. But yeah, I don't care for this one. Anyway, well, we'll do Creatures of the Night next, and I'll see you guys in that video. Take care.